a short start and throwing her in the deep end. But she'll be working on proteomics and all sorts of other things. But she's going to give us a brief overview of where we are at the moment and what we hope to do. So.
Yeah. Yes, like you said, this is a cruel punishment. I don't know why. But so yeah, just a little bit about it. So a lot of people always ask, what did come first, the chicken or the egg? I do a lot of genetics. So from a genetics background, it's probably more egg than the actual chicken, because the egg could be a genetic mutation or something further, and I decided to find some pictures of a dinosaur with a chicken's head and vice versa. What my little cousin, who's 5, always debates that it's actually a dinosaur for some reason. But obviously, as we know, that may not actually be true, but it's probably a genetic mutation of something prehistoric which may no longer exist. So we know a fair bit about eggs so far. We know that there are several different types of animals that lay them, so reptiles, birds, amphibians, monotremes, so such as like platypi, they all lay eggs. However, they're all very different in terms of their size and structure. So obviously we all know what a chicken egg looks like. It's what we'd characterize as an egg shape. However, snakes are more like an elongated, like pill type shape. Obviously, it depends on the size of their body and the way the internal organs are set out. Other things we know about eggs is generally they have quite strong antimicrobial properties, managing to come out, obviously, the chicken, and very rarely bacterial infections are present. However, when they are present, they are quite strong, like salmonella, etc. But currently, most research to date on eggs has been carried out on domestic chickens. However, there are genetic genome sequencing coming out for ducks and turkeys, which will probably allow us to understand a lot more about how eggs differ from different species. So even within chicken species, eggs can vary in terms of colour and size, as well as the interior yolk colour. Typically, free-range hens produce a better colour yolk inside. However, the colour between, like, typically in America you see more white eggshells, and in the UK we see more brown, like slightly mottled eggshells. Not 100% sure if there's a genetic difference in that, because I'm just currently starting. But at least we know they make nice cakes and eggs as well. Oh yeah, there's an old wives' tale, apparently that eggshells can be used to remove grease out of things. I don't know how true that is. I'll drop some oil on Philippe later and we can try and find out. So, like Philippe said, biologically we know how eggs are formed. So roughly in a chicken, the egg process is roughly around about 24 hours. Starts with an egg yolk, which is just the yellow part. And it's only around in the infidrium for about 15 minutes. Then obviously the white part of the egg forms as well, which takes round about 3 hours. And in the next one, basically it's an egg without its eggshell, which as children we always put them in like vinegar, and after a while it dissolves. But that's characteristically inside the oviduct is what it looks like. But if you look to the previous picture, the actual membrane you can see on the top is that white part, and that basically forms as like spindles on both sides of the egg, and it kind of keeps the yolk suspended. However, obviously it does move in and around, and obviously the hardest part of the process is probably forming the eggshell. I mean, if humans had to do that, that'd be very difficult. Luckily we don't. Men don't have to deal with it fully, so it's fine. But the last 20 hours, roughly about 40% of the egg white and the eggshell are formed. So that process does take quite a while, and obviously it will use up quite a lot of calcium, etc., in building that structure. But something that we don't really know is, are there genes that kickstart it, or are those genes there, or is it just the fertilization process that causes it all? So some of the current research that we have, the eggshell membrane, so the thin white membrane in between the shell and the actual egg, has been used in studies in New Zealand as basically addressing a plaster, has been shown to increase the rate in which a wound heals, as well as obviously keeping extra bacteria from entering the wound. How obviously there is only so much you can get from one egg, so probably looking at a synthetic version, and whether that be more efficient than the large wound dressings that we currently have. As well, a lot of research looking at the relationship between nutrition and egg colour, so whether a chicken produces a healthier egg, or does it not matter? It probably does matter, because if you'd forced anyone to do anything, they probably wouldn't want to be very happy about it. However, there is quite a lot of research about it. It's probably a very important thing, because if we're mass producing eggs, are we actually stripping a lot of the nutrients and stuff found in eggs by doing this, or is there going to be a later impact further on? And also, overall quality and appearance has been determined as being found on 5 chromosomes within chickens, so 2, 4, 5, 6, and 11. Whether the same can be done for other species as well, to determine if it's the same chromosomes or are there differences. Are they the same genes but obviously different alleles within it? So we've done some SEM analysis so far on chicken eggs. This is on the inside of a leg bar chicken egg. They're rare auto-sexing chicken breeds, but they are primarily used for eggs, not more or less for their meat. They can vary in colour, however, typically there is 3 colours associated with them, so blue, olive, and a green colour. I know olive and green sound the same, but actually very different if you've ever seen them. So from the outside, you can see on that first picture, it has kind of like a crisscross lattice structure, but if you look between the pores, you can see that there is another layer underneath. Whether that is starting the membrane or whether it's another layer of the shell, but regardless, it will show that it is an eggshell is a multi-layer structure. But by the second picture, which is taken at the crack of an eggshell, you can see that is a quite stable structure with almost like circular triangle pillars going along, creating quite a nice dense structure. And if you think about it, you do have to put a fair amount of pressure on an eggshell before it does crack or just drop it from a height. Although to us, when we run our hands over it, it can feel fairly smooth. You can see from the top of that as well that it does have irregularities. It's not a straight, smooth structure. There is a surface. So this is the outside of the leg bar chicken egg as well. Obviously, as you can see, that there is, again, it's irregular. You've got cracks, etc. When you're looking from obviously the inside, that first picture to the outside, you could probably see how it is all lattice structure all over. Obviously, it's not direct pores straight in, otherwise anything can get in. Although when people used to put eggs inside boxes of truffles to get the smell on and it will work through, I suppose this is probably how it managed to get through eventually. So this is an Ancona chicken egg. Again, they're from Italy, but like leg bar chickens, they are typically used for their eggs. However, these ones tend to be white as opposed to different colours like the leg bar one. Sort of a similar structure, but a lot less interesting, in my opinion. You can see cracks and you can see small pores, however, you can't see the multi-layer structure that you could see in the previous images. We haven't done any on the inside yet. However, even through the cracks on the further picture, you can see another layer underneath, but it's not as defined as in the previous pictures. So this is on the outside of a duck egg. Again, very different in structure, but again, there'll be different colours. Typically, obviously, a duck egg colour, like a bluey, light blue colour. We managed to find some of the pores and measure them, and quite a decent size considering. You obviously can't see them, but it's quite interesting. So yeah, just what are my future aims? Well, hopefully I can complete my PhD and publish a few papers. I'd like to identify the proteins responsible for calcite crystallization, probably initially through computational studies, and once I'm certain, secondly through proteomics and genetics. Overcladins are known to be quite involved in the formation of eggshells. So whether looking at things like overclading 17 throughout different types of eggs, does that vary, would be quite interesting. And is the expression rates different through different types of an egg? So, for example, within chicken eggs, if I manage to get hold of different colours, is the presence of overclades different throughout? Can do that through quantitative PCR analysis. Just some more references. I felt like I had to reference Philippe. Drop me in it, and yeah, that's it.
We give Rupika a massive round of applause.